So the thing that's winding me up most is this. Let me just show you. I'm just going to copy from a slide that I've got here. The whole thing looks like this. It's a circle, and it says 1, plan, 2, dev and test, 3, release, and 4, monitor and learn. And it's really apparent to me that if you draw a line down through the middle here, this is dev and this is ops, and just having a circle like that which goes around in this direction doesn't make the whole process of dev and ops into DevOps. It seems to me that what we really need is to have some kind of glue, something which links these two sections together, and something which also links these two sections together, so that rather than that red line that separates dev and ops being a hard red line, it's faded. It's a it's a shade of grey. Now I think that this bit here is a thing called release management, but I think if you look at that, it lives mostly in the dev space, with a little tiny bit of it living in the ops space. And I'm not really sure what links this bit to this bit at the top here, this purple bit at the top here that I'm talking about, from there to there. I think it's things like, for example, not sure it exactly fits, but if you take something like release, which is also deployment, isn't it? It's also deployment. Then you might think of things like scripts and config, all of that stuff going into the dev repository. Something like that. Also, there's something about this monitoring and learning which allows us to feedback in this direction, and I'm sure that's got something to do with App Insights. There's a whole load of monitoring that comes out of things like System Center, like System Center Ops Manager and so on. I'm not sure that that actually has any feedback mechanism into here, so I think this part of the story here, let me do it in black, this bit of the story here is very weak indeed. This bit of the story down here, it has some strength, but that strength is mostly in dev and it's not in ops. So that, what I'd really like to do in the talk at Future Decoded is to try and fill these areas in, to fill definitely fill this purple area in here. Let's talk about what technologies and processes and so on, people, all that kind of stuff, and then also fill in this blue part here. So I think one of the things to do is to sort of bust this myth that I'm convinced it's a myth that that this when you employ somebody as DevOps, so if it says DevOps in the job description, DevOps, whereabouts in this circle do they get employed? So here is a person, but where are they doing their job? Presumably, so if somebody's got the title DevOps, this bit here, then their job is either in that bit, or both of them, because the rest of it is pure dev and the rest of that is pure ops. So what I'd really like to do is meet some of these people if you have any accounts that are doing some of this stuff, so they could explain how they do that, it would be good. Okay, let me just clear the screen here. So what I'm thinking is that at Future Decoded, FD, we've got the morning sessions, which are, it's Brian Cox talking about quantum mechanics, and then can't remember her name. It's a lady who was on the team that invented or proposed the idea of the quantum computer, explaining how a quantum computer works, how quantum cryptography works, and stuff like that. That's the thought leadership, mind-provoking stuff. And then in the afternoon we've got 3 sessions. So, I was looking at 1, 2, 3, and splitting them up into maybe two sections to each session each. And obviously I think this first bit here, I'd like to draw that diagram and say that this is the bit we're concentrating on, this bit here, which is how ops integrates with dev, and this bit here, which is how dev integrates with ops. I think this is mostly RM. I don't know what that is. That's my question. But it would be great if we had a customer or a partner to do that bit there. And then in here, it would be great for us to describe the first bit here, the customer partner, would be a sort of a my experience thing, where the customer or the partner says, we did this and this is what we found. Whereas this would be a much more practically based session, with demos and slides and sort of typical presentation. And then I'd just like to get into more detail in these sections here, but each one of them would be, this would be a how, so how to do release management, or perhaps in here really what we should be talking about is the things which link together all these terms. So you've got agile, Scrum, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Just put some sort of context around how all these things relate to each other. So that's a sort of a definition, and then how you might do these things. So this might be with Visual Studio, TFS, other third-party things, and open source stuff as well. And then here, some kind of success story. Maybe the very last bit here could be a case study. Although one thing I was aware of last year, I looked at the numbers of people who did case studies as their last presentation last year, and they had very low numbers, like sort of in the 30s and 40s, as opposed to in the multiples of hundreds. That certainly happened in the Azure sessions. We had something like 300 people for the first talk, 250 for the next one, and then the last talk had something like, I can't remember what it was, but it's about 25 people in there. The room was almost empty. So that's the sort of thing I'm thinking of. I'd really like your input to see what you think, and whether you can suggest any customers or partners who could help in this whole piece. So if you can do anything in that area, that would be very fantastic. I'm hoping this comes out well and you can understand what I'm talking about.